Hey, this is Stefan.
And I'm Heidi, and this is Ice Cream Parlor, the podcast.
Yes, you're listening to the podcast where we watch horror movies and just talk about them. That's pretty much it, right, Heidi?
That's right, Stefan.
All right. Let's go ahead and have some fun with this.
Yep, absolutely. This week, we watched The Baby from 1973. You hadn't seen it before.
No. Have you seen it before we watched it?
No, I hadn't even heard of it before.
Right, yeah. This is a weird one. I mean,
this movie's fucked up.
Wasn't on the list. It's not like anybody suggested it. We were just browsing through Shudder, and somehow this was one of the recommended movies that popped up.
I mean, Shudder knows me well because I liked this movie.
Did you?
I did because it was weird.
I don't know if I liked it. I don't know if I could watch it again, but I'm, in a weird way, glad that I watched it.
Since we watched it, I watched it one other time. I enjoyed the movie, but it is really fucked up, and there are... Well, let's just get into it.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Let's get into it.
So, before we go into the movie for this week, What's up with you?
I don't know. I just, again, we're just holding it down here in the isolated quarantine, whatever you want to call it. Just trying to get by day to day. Let's see. We have a couple new plants that we've planted, so that's keeping us sane, right? We got these tomato plants and a couple other. What was it? The rosemary.
So we have Zoe Bell. That's one tomato plant. No Name. That's the other tomato plant.
I don't know why you named them, but.
And then Rosemary's Baby. She's a rosemary plant.
Yeah. Well, anyways, as you can see, this is how we've been staying sane over here.
Sane is
a relative term.
Yes. And as a reminder, you're going to hear dog snores and the murder kids from upstairs. We can't help it.
It's all right,
And, my kids being angsty because they're teens.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, what you been up to?
Same old. I've been interviewing for jobs, which has been pretty cool. And I'm in a good space where I'm able to kind of just slow down and just find something good, not just find something for the sake of it. And it's pretty exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're looking for work.
So looking for new work, but it's pretty cool. I do have some savings, and I do have that stimulus check that came in, which is nice. It all went to bills.
Yeah,
of
course.
But it stimulated my bills. But things have been pretty cool. I kind of had an itch for a road trip, but I better wait. Yeah. Like the plan is, so LA opens up Friday for the most part, but I'm not going out Friday because it takes 2 weeks for someone to develop symptoms, right? So I figured let everybody get out. If it doesn't have the second wave, where I'm sure you've heard that there's a second wave that has happened in different countries, as long as that doesn't come in, then on week 3 of the Open Los Angeles, that's when we will go out.
Have they confirmed that they are opening on the 15th?
LA is open a little bit further than we have been for the past new normal. As of Friday, there's parks, there's trails, there's this coming Friday, parks, trails, many stores are opening up, no malls, and restaurants are not dine-in yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, I'm really excited to go out. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited for someone else to cook for me. I'm really excited for someone to make me a margarita that's not a pre-made margarita.
You and your drinks, you're like 1 week you got some good wine, next week some bad wine, 1 week a good margarita, next week a bad margarita.
But enough about me. I'll say for the first time ever in existence, let's talk about the movie.
Sure, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Right.
This one's a weird one. I mean, we actually have watched a bunch of movies in between now and then, so this one was the one that you decided is going to make the episode, and I'm curious to know why.
Well, when I started just looking into some interesting facts about this movie, I didn't find any because it doesn't have that much of a background story. It's not based on a true story. It's not based on, whatever urban legends. It's just a fucked up movie.
Right. It seems...
But...
Okay. What? But what?
But it is a hagsploitation film. And that led me through a rabbit hole of all of these other hagsploitation films that I really, really, want to watch.
What?
Back to back to back.
What is a hagsploitation film?
So that is the, I guess, non-PC term for movies in the 70s, in late 60s and 70s, that starred the starlets from Hollywood's golden ages, the golden years of Hollywood. So, for example, Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, they were too old to be like the hot young stuff in the movie, so they didn't have a place to put them. So what they did is they thrust them into these roles and created a new genre of hagsploitation. And what that is, they're movies starring fucked up women, fucking dangerous, fucking crazy, just fucking fucked, like crazy ass women.
Like old hags, hence hagsploitation?
Hags, as in the women were like in their late 40s or in their mid to late 40s, you know, like over the hill for Hollywood in the 60s and 70s, right? So
interesting.
It has made for really good movies. Like, I don't know if Mildred Pierce counts as one of these movies, but it's a movie that stars Joan Crawford, and she's a very powerful, very bitchy-ass woman, and I fucking love that movie. So,
never heard of that.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to watch it, but you have to pay for it. They did a series on it recently. Anyway, it did open up a lot of doors for me, like whatever happened to, I think, Baby Jane or something like that, and movies like that I've heard of.
Baby movies?
No, not baby movies, but just movies where women are the ones that are the fucked up ones, are the ones doing the bad thing, right?
Gotcha.
And they were all the beautiful actresses from the decade prior.
So this movie, to me, had this weird underlying, like, adult baby fetish.
Right.
You know?
So that's a thing, apparently.
Apparently it is a thing. And it's like, this was weird because that's what it was all about, was this, like, grown man who's a baby.
Well, so it's not that it was fetishized.
It was
in this particular movie, for example. However, I did find that this movie is a cult classic. Like, people love the fuck out of this movie. I can tell you what I loved about the movie.
Okay, what was
the
it?
Fashion.
The fashion?
The style. Like, the mama in this movie, like, I want every one of her outfits. And let me tell you, the mama in this movie, I fucking loved her voice. She has this raspy kind of, like...
You did? You liked it?
Oh, my God.
I mean, yeah, I guess it works for, like, an evil Cruella de Vil character, but, I mean... yeah, it was funny.
She was just very, like... Just... like Gloria Vanderbilt with the cone bras almost, like the pointy bras. And, and she was just the fashion was great.
Yeah, well, it was the early 70s, so that's
it was the early 70s, but that 60s orgy sometime partying in the movie, that was interesting. Was pretty cool, too. I was like, I'm going to dance like that from now on.
Yeah, a lot of funny, weird subject matter in this movie. Again, like, it wasn't that they fetishized the baby thing, but I do feel like that the director or somebody behind it, the writer or somebody, definitely probably was playing into some of their inner thoughts. And I don't know, that's a strange thing, you know, just the whole dressing up and pretending to be a baby, you know.
Right. So I don't see the movie as it... and I don't think the movie was made to project anybody's fetishes. Mm-hmm. This movie came out during this very interesting time in the 70s feminism movement, right? So it could be read as a response to what happens when the woman leaves the house. What happens when the woman is in charge? What happens when you let a woman do whatever she wants? Which is why I believe all of these high-exploitation films take place. Because, oh no, the men don't control this, so look at all the weird shit that's happening now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Especially in that time because it was, men
it was fear of the death of the nuclear family and traditional gender roles.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It was very fear-based genre.
Sure.
But it was pretty cool. I do like this movie. And let me just get some facts out.
Okay. Hit me with the good stuff.
All right. So The Baby from 1973 was directed by Ted Post.
Sure. Never heard of him.
Neither have I. And it stars Anjanette Comer,
That's a nice name. Like, I've never heard
Anjanette.
that either. Anjanette. I mean, I'm sure there's a few out there, but
I've never heard of an
like
Anjanette.
I've heard of
but she was a
Angela's
starlet
and
from the
Jeanette's,
previous. Yeah, Angela's and Jeanette's.
but no Anjanette's.
Well, she played Anne Gentry, and she's a social worker in the movie.
Yeah.
Then there's Ruth Roman,
Yeah.
and she plays Mrs. Wadsworth. And let me tell you, honey, she's got some sass.
Yes, she does.
Oh my God, that woman.
She's also got 2 daughters, right?
She has 2 daughters, yeah. Germaine.
Germaine, which is a very manly name.
Yeah,
but I guess
Germaine with the G.
Right, okay.
Right? Germaine, she's played
How else
by...
would you spell it, though?
The J? Like Jermaine Jackson?
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. And she's played by Mariana Hill. And then the other sister is Alba, and she's played by Suzanne Zenner.
Alba. Yeah, she's the little feisty blonde one.
Yeah. And then Baby is played by David Mooney.
Imagine what, like he took the role pretty serious, I guess, but like...
Yeah, he did. You were telling me that he did what?
He like studied babies and handicapped kids to get their mannerisms and their sounds down, which that was one thing that I read in...
but the sounds in this movie, in the cut we saw...
Are not
his sounds. They're...
But the original... this was an overdubbed baby sound, which was... the weirdest part about the movie, yeah. But apparently, the actor did the sounds himself in the original movie or the original score. I don't know how or why it got altered. I'm not sure. It was a quick read on IMDb that I saw this, but that to me, that was the strangest part about it. Like, because why not just let him use his real voice? He's a grown man. There's no way that his voice would have stayed a baby's voice. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And it was very creepy.
Right. So what we're actually talking about is this movie is about a social worker, Anne, and she is assigned to the Wadsworth family. The Wadsworth family is on welfare because they have the son of the family, Baby, has no name, just named Baby. He has special needs, or supposed special needs. His special need is that he never developed past toddler age. Like, he doesn't even walk, so infant age. So he's a grown man who looks like an emaciated Martin Short.
Yeah, I did see Martin Short in there. I did, yeah.
And he doesn't crawl properly either. He kind of like slides around the floor. And he doesn't talk. He can't hold himself up. He's even fed like, not even like just baby food. Oh
boy, is he fed.
He's not even fed like solids. He's just like baby, like whatever that.
He knows what kind of feedings he likes.
So disgusting.
I know.
All right. So the movie starts like this.
Okay.
We meet Anne and her mother-in-law, and they're looking at the Wadsworth file, and that has pictures of Baby as a child, and throughout his entire development, but he's still in a bottle, still in a crib, still in baby attire. And it turns out that he's actually a 21-year-old man, but he hasn't been allowed to develop properly. Even talking, he's not able to. He can't even grasp, not like he doesn't have any motor skills either. Yeah.
I wonder how much of that was just suppressed, upbringing.
So
or
later on, Anne has a theory. She says, let's see. She says, I think it's just negative reinforcement whenever typical or normal behaviors were shown. So imagine if the next stage of your life is to pull yourself up to stand, but every time you did that, somebody beat you, you wouldn't stand.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we do see that they do some of that in this movie.
Yeah.
So imagine how much he's had to go through the course of his life. You say he's 21?
21, okay. Yeah, from the synopsis that I found.
Gotcha, yeah.
Okay, so we meet Anne, we meet her mother-in-law, they're going through the file. They get to, we go and are introduced to the Wadsworth family. And again, that's the mother, Mrs. Wadsworth. There's Alba and Germaine.
Right.
And so Anne goes to meet them and she gives them this, we understand that they've gone through this process for 21 years, so they know that there's always a visit from the social worker. This is the new social worker.
She's just a new girl, yeah.
Yeah, she's just a new girl. And things are going fine. They're answering questions. We understand that social workers come every twice a year, and that all the other ones have come and gone. We understand there's no man in the life. In fact, we find out that baby's father left left mama before baby was even born.
When she makes her first visit, is the mom there, or is
yes?
But the mom is there when she first arrives. She doesn't show up afterwards.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. It was later on when she wasn't home.
Yeah.
Okay. I was getting confused.
Okay. And so everything was fine. Everybody's answering questions. Everybody's lovely because she had called ahead versus other social workers who hadn't called ahead.
Yeah, and just
so they were
up.
nice. The house is clean. Everything. Everybody was nice and delightful. And then things kind of take a turn when we find out that Anne actually wants to. She chose.
Right.
Or
she requested to have
this case.
Yeah,
and we don't know why yet.
Nope. We did.
But we find out later. Oh my God, this movie's fucked up. Okay. Also,
this is only rated PG, by the way.
It's only rated PG. What the fuck? Okay, but it doesn't have much blood. It doesn't have any sex scenes. It doesn't have any of this stuff. So
yeah, it was.
It is an eerie film, but it's kind of like Texas Chainsaw in that it's implied. It's implied sexual abuse. It's implied physical abuse. I mean, there's also very visible physical abuse, but after the fact, right? Okay. So Anne asked to see baby, and they're like, what? And that's when we meet baby, and he's
they're all like, what? Well, do you have to? I mean, he's sleeping. It's his nap, and she's like, well, that's the whole reason I'm here is to see this baby. Like, I'm not gonna leave without looking at him, you know.
I mean, I've had a social worker come to my house just once, and that is because my kid's father assaulted me. And when I called the police, there was an automatic report to child services. So child services came over and they had it was a 20-minute conversation. Not even, most of the time we talked about the recipe because I was cooking when they showed up. So there was not even an actual issue. They were so fine with it. But I can understand being weary of somebody coming into your home. I can understand feeling like you have to do what now? Because you feel even though at that time Isabel was doing homework, Sandra was taking a nap, and I was cooking, the feeling that somebody's judging you on absolutely everything is really hard.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to take. So I can imagine just being in the shoes of somebody who's people continuously are coming in and saying, what are you doing right? What are you doing wrong?
You feel that way if your landlord was stopping by. You feel that way if certain family members stop by. I mean, it's one of those things where you can tell that these people are just like you said, just judging you on everything, whatever.
Right. I mean, yeah, things are fucked up in the household, but I can understand. Maybe it's scary that I can understand Mrs. Wadsworth. But anyway, Anne starts coming around a lot more, and we find out it's coming by almost every day.
Oh, right, yeah. And she's now growing really attached to the baby, I think, right? She's
right. Well, she starts to care for a baby, and I understand you and I both have family members with special needs, and they just are such magical beings. How can somebody not care for them at some point? If you spend enough time with them, you're going to be like, oh my God, I love this kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's understandable for Anne's perspective of, I just want to spend time with this kid and make sure he's okay. Especially since we find out when her supervisor reprimands her for exclusively working on the Wadsworth case and neglecting her emergency cases, we find that she is saying that she feels that there's severe neglect happening. She feels like there's something not allowing this child, there's abuse there.
Right, yeah. And she knows she wants to be able to prove it, but she can't yet.
Right. And then she says specifically to her supervisor, nobody has worked hard on this case. And he goes, that's not true. Somebody did. The other caseworker who mysteriously disappeared.
Right.
And then we find out nothing else about this social worker that mysteriously disappeared. Why did she disappear? Where did she go? Yeah. What the fuck? But they said something. people drop out of sight all the time is what he tells her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the 70s were weird.
Really? Yeah, the social service industry, everybody just disappears. That's a common thing.
So,
like, what the fuck?
There's two things. One, people actually were dropping dead because of Bundy, right? But two, what if this particular supervisor was the father of baby or one of the daughters, because they all have different dads. What if he was there and he's like, let me just do whatever it takes, sweep it all under the rug, so I don't have to be responsible for that.
It's a good hypothesis. I mean, you always have the good, the good ones. You come up with the good ideas. It could be true. I don't know. We don't hear anything about the father of the baby,
right,
or any underlying health conditions or mental conditions. Nobody else has handicaps or special needs. So is it a natural thing? Was it because maybe it's abuse? Yeah. Was it, we don't know. And then the other fathers as well, too. If it's all from different dads, then, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
The sisters are connected, but still they're only half sisters or whatever you want to call it. You know?
Even though.
Is this like the Firefly family sort
Family.
of? Family?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
They're not as sick and twisted.
It kind of reminded me of a Rob Zombie movie in the first place, especially with Baby. Yeah. But whatever. Okay. Anne continues to visit the family even though her boss tells her no.
Yeah.
And she repeatedly tells the family members, I think he can do better than he's doing now. I think he's intelligent. I think he can be normal. I think he's doing this. I think he's doing that. And the family just continues to just push her away. And they're like, no, you're stupid.
Right. They don't want her to get involved any more than she is. They'd rather have her do the bare minimum. And they just, they're not very warm and welcome. That's why I was saying, like, earlier when I thought the mom wasn't there. I think one time she comes in to pay a visit and she wants to talk to the mom. And the daughter is in the backyard saying, oh, no, she went to some appointment or something. Right. But whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, so they're not warm.
They're not welcoming her.
Welcoming people,
and
yeah.
As she's continuing to visit, they're also pushing her away, but also trying to get some information. Because Jermaine walks her to the car once, like, very specifically, and asks her, what's your husband like? Where do you live? And all these questions. And then she goes, do you like physical exercise?
Yeah,
and like invites her on a Bundy-ass fucking adventure when she's like, oh, do you like to go into the mountains on a hike? Like,
right.
What
Are
the
you nosy
fuck?
much? Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty interesting because I'm like, oh, that's how they got the information from the last social worker, and that's why she disappeared.
Well, Jermaine is like the sneaky, foxy, conniving kind of a type. The mom is basically just like a, up
the boss.
front. Yeah, blunt as fuck, kind of whatever.
Well, and she doesn't. So the mom is like in this super suburb, but she's very like just rough around the edges. You're like, how does she have this house?
Right. Yeah.
How is she in this neighborhood? How does she have this house on welfare? Mm-hmm. And she's only getting welfare, we find out, for baby only.
Right.
And the girls, Jermaine says she'll do a commercial every now and then. Right. And Alba says that sometimes she teaches tennis.
Yeah.
So they're in LA.
Mm-hmm. So, and Alba too, she is the like mean but
she's snarky,
forceful, kind of type. Yeah, she's like sassy.
Right. So Jermaine does get some information from her.
Yeah. What does she get?
She gets the information that Anne lives a pretty normal life with her husband, who was an architect. They live in a big house.
She emphasizes that was.
She lives in a big house, and she has a very understanding mother-in-law. So those are the things that we find out. Later that night, as she's driving away from that instance, she's having flashes, and it goes back and forth from baby laying in the crib to her husband, to baby to her husband. And then later that night, she's watching slideshow of her husband and her, back before his accident, and the mother-in-law's there, and she tells her, Anne specifically tells her mother-in-law, it should have been me. It was my fault. So you're like, oh, shit. So there was an accident. It was her fault. She feels racked with guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm like, okay, well, now this is starting to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, you
right?
always like to figure these movies out before we get to the end.
But I don't mean to.
Right, you're just super Nancy Drew over here, I guess, right?
I did read a lot of Nancy Drew growing up. I had a whole Nancy Drew collection.
Yeah.
But not the Hardy Boys, because fuck those guys.
Oh, I read some Hardy Boys
like
books.
I said.
So,
so then check this out. There was a time in the movie where baby was left at home with a babysitter.
Oh, right. Yeah, this part right here. I don't know where they went. They all go
They went out to dinner and a movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Except
dinner
for baby.
Movie. They got a babysitter. She's probably about like 17, 16, I don't know, maybe something like that.
Yep.
She's just, not the typical she is on the phone, I think, with somebody,
she's on
right?
the phone with her boyfriend who's like, do you have panties on? You know, typical thing.
Right. Yeah.
But she's actually being very attentive and she's playing with baby. Mm-hmm. Like baby cries and she goes to him and she changes a grown man's diaper.
Yeah, she changes his diaper.
And then she lets him out of the crib and then they're playing and then as he's playing, baby falls and starts crying and she goes and she cuddles him and then he starts sucking on her titties.
Yeah, she's like, no, baby,
titties.
no,
she's like, no.
No,
do
but
it
then
more.
she just like goes with it. She pops that tit out and he's just sucking on it.
And then everybody
comes home, right? Mom and the two daughters come home from their dinner and whatever, and they're like, "Wait, where's she's probably upstairs putting him in bed or whatever."
They open the door. Mm-hmm. No, but before that, they say something was funny. Oh, we got here just in time not to pay her extra for babysitting.
Oh, right, not to pay her extra. Yeah.
I'm like,
little did they know she's getting. Yeah,
she's charging you more than you know. She says she walks in and the babysitter goes, we were just fooling around. Nothing happened. Honest. Mm-hmm. What? The mom, she goes, with your damn tit in his mouth, you call that nothing? And they proceed to beat her up.
Yep.
They beat her.
Yep.
And you know what? Good.
Yeah. I mean, most everybody will probably be okay with that in that situation.
Yeah, this is what this movie is. It like, sometimes you feel that you're always like, oh, they're the good guys, or somebody's taking advantage of them, or somebody else is a good guy, and then you're like, no, this person's a bad guy, this person's a bad guy, and you're like, I don't know who to feel bad for. Always baby, of course, but you're like, I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
So they beat her up, and they even, like, she even busts a move straight out of my childhood. Mrs. Wadsworth pulls out a belt.
Oh,
and starts whipping her at the belt.
I know, that was it brought some flashbacks. Yeah.
And then the sisters, they go and they say, if you tell anybody about this, we'll press charges. You were abusing a mental case, and that's a criminal offense.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're not wrong necessarily. That is a little.
Like, it's crazy to try to read the quotes for these movies, like the older movies, because they're words that I wouldn't normally use. Like, I wouldn't call somebody a mental case. I wouldn't call somebody the R word. But these quotes sometimes say it. Like, I know I had to say it in the last episode, and I was like, eeh.
Well, they used to call them, like, mongoloids or whatever. That's...
I always thought that was... I used to have these toys called Monchichis.
Monchichi?
And so... You remember Monchichi?
No.
You know, these little, like, monkey-looking things, but they had people faces, but they were, like, super hairy.
No.
I used to call my kids Monchichi because they were born all hairy. But for when my entire childhood, I thought when people said mongoloids, I thought they meant Monchichi.
Really?
Yeah. So on another visit, Anne brings baby a stuffed tiger.
Oh, right. You want to talk about this. I know, right? So she brings her a stuffed, quote-unquote, tiger, but it's not a tiger.
It's a fucking lion.
It's a lion. Okay.
I know your line says tiger, but you see it's a lion. Why not just say lion?
Okay.
Oh,
so
annoying.
that really pissed you off, right?
Well,
a little tiny
things,
detail.
Yeah, because they like pull me out of the movie.
Sure.
Like when we were watching, what was that movie? The family in the summer house. Those crazy guys came over. Funny games.
Oh, Funny Games.
Yeah, I'm like, she's cross-contaminating her whole kitchen. Wash your fucking hands, you filthy hoe.
Yeah, because
like,
of the...
Yeah.
Well, so that I noticed that sometimes, you take that very literal. It's like in the movies, they're not going to take their shoes off when they get on the bed. They're not going to wash their hands after they touch chicken.
But what I'm telling you is she touched steak
Yeah, I know. I saw it,
And
but
then
I
started
didn't
talking
see
on
it.
her phone.
I didn't see it until you pointed it out.
I'm just telling you, it pulls me out of the
I
movie.
get it. Yeah. But in that moment, I'm not thinking like, oh wait, you're contaminating your kitchen. Like, I don't
The
think about it
entire
like
movie,
that.
she didn't wash her hands.
I know, but I get it. But I don't
Okay,
know.
anyway. So
You ever notice that in movies and TV shows that a lot of times when people end a conversation, they just
hang up the
hang
phone.
up or walk away and don't have a final line?
You know
That's
how when
not normal.
like if we were in on a TV show or a movie, we turn the TV on right now and it would show us exactly something that we absolutely needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's movie magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I get that, but it takes me out of the movie.
right, I get it.
So she brings a stuffed lion.
A stuffed lion.
A stuffed lion.
A stuffed lion.
What did I say?
I thought you said stuffed lion.
Not a stuffed lion. She also manages. Okay, so Alba was watching Baby outside in his playpen.
Oh,
she
right,
managed to convince her to go into the house to answer the phone call.
Right, there was.
And so she was there. So Anne was with Baby outside, and she managed to get him to stand up.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
That he could stand up, that he can do stuff, right?
Sure.
But just then, that's when Mrs. Wadsworth shows up.
Because it was a big deal.
And she's pissed off.
That Alba, right, it was a big deal. Alba was like, no, I'm not supposed to leave him. And then she was like, yeah, but I'll be watching him. And it's just to go get a phone. So Alba was like, I guess you're right. And sure enough, that's when her mom came home. And that's when she was like, what are you doing trusting her? I told you not to leave him alone,
right.
whatever, you know?
Right. But that's also when Mrs. Wadsworth and Anne have a very real conversation. And that's when Anne starts saying, I want to take him to a school for children with special needs. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And the mom is like, I don't know. No, I can't afford it. She's made every excuse in the book. And finally, Anne has to pass this test in order for Mrs. Wadsworth to consider it. And she fails. She tries to coax a Baby to, be proactive. But because, all the negative reinforcement he probably is receiving when he does things, Baby does not comply whatsoever. And so she fails. But Mrs. Wadsworth says, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
However,
which is sort of strange, no?
So as a parent of a child with special needs, you're really really hesitant to just let anybody do what they want. Like, in fact, when Anne was saying, oh, I'll drive him to the school, the mom says, nobody takes Baby anywhere without me, which I get. Like, I wouldn't want, after decades, you're talking about 2 decades of nobody helping other than here's some money and my social worker is going to make sure that everybody's okay. Suddenly somebody wants to pick my son up and drive him somewhere without me. No, that's not fucking happening.
Yeah, nobody would be cool with that, I don't think.
Mrs. Wadsworth is actually correct in a lot of ways where she's, there's a lot of extremes, of course, but she's protective of her children. She wants to make sure that not just anybody has access to her child. And because her son has special needs and her son is still a baby, she specifically tells Alba, do not leave him alone.
Yeah,
which is, that's normal.
Yeah, and Alba is, she complies. Yeah, she doesn't want to leave her, but what's her name? Anne, Gentry. She does a good job of persuading her, and
Yeah. Well, once Anne leaves, happy that she got Mrs. Wadsworth to say, okay, I'll think about it, Alba starts punishing Baby back upstairs in his room.
Oh, with the cattle prod?
With the cattle prod.
Oh, my God. Yeah. She's like, kazah, kazah.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing. There are drawings all over the bedroom, like little kids' drawings. But they can't be Baby's.
Why not?
He's not developmentally able to create those things. If he can't eat solid foods, pull himself up, and hold the ball properly, how is he drawing a house? How is he drawing a girl? How is he drawing dogs?
I don't know. Mind blown. Maybe that's something they never thought about. But, because, I don't know, one would maybe say he's just faking it. And he does know how to do these motor skills. He just doesn't want to.
Well, then it would just make this whole movie so much more sad. Because I'll tell you when we get to the end, but it'll just make it so much more sad. Okay, so then Jermaine defends him with the cattle prod, and then we find out later that Jermaine actually is fucking her brother.
Is she though?
Well, she walks into the room and she pulls off her clothes and she gets into bed with him.
Sure, but does she actually do it? Like, but he doesn't know what to do. He's a fucking baby. He can't stand up. So is she like getting him hard and then just sitting on it?
He wanted to suckle on. He wasn't being breastfed for 20 years. He knew what boobs were and he enjoyed it. And maybe you're right. Maybe he knew what he was doing with the babysitter. You know?
Wait, no, I'm still confused. You're saying that he does know how to suck on titties,
well, he knew how to suck on titties.
Yeah, but that's like
how 20 years ago maybe he was breastfed, but since then he hasn't been breastfed. He has a bottle. He's specifically shown with the bottle.
So no, but maybe Jermaine has been breastfeeding him. Maybe that's part of her.
How she can't be breastfeeding him because she wouldn't have any milk unless the baby is hers.
I don't know how that works, but I'm just saying, like, maybe she just gets in bed and lets him suck on it, even though nothing comes out.
This doesn't make it any better.
I know it doesn't make it better, but I'm saying maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. They're a weird family.
It gets fucking weird.
They're a weird family.
Weirder, let me just say. Yeah. So that whole special needs school, whatever, Mrs. Wadsworth misses the appointment, and that's when we find out that
she just intentionally doesn't go. She doesn't show up. Anne is just sitting around waiting. She's like, she told me she would come, whatever. And then all of a sudden she gets her on the phone and she's like, no, I decided I'm not going.
Right. And then they say that she should call her boss. And her boss informs her that she's off the case because there's been a complaint. Mm-hmm. That's when Anne hustles her ass back to the Wadsworth home. And Anne tells Mrs. Wadsworth, you're sick. You're the one who needs help, not baby. Right. And prior to that, prior to her having a complaint, she was told by a doctor that said, if you have these concerns about baby, you need to go to the, what is it called? Public guardian, which is, I guess, public social services or whatever the hell. Sure. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But that's exactly what she threatens the Wadsworth family right now. When she goes and tells her off, she goes, I'm going to call them on you and I will see you in court. Mm. Right. And that's when the Wadsworth family starts to panic. They're like, oh shit. They took it seriously. So Anne leaves. Right. She goes home. And when she gets home, her mother-in-law tells her that the Mrs. Wadsworth wants her to call her. And she calls her back. And she invites her to baby's birthday party.
Birthday party?
Fucking random.
Yeah, right?
So why didn't she know about baby's birthday before that instance? Had they not invited her? That's kind of mean.
Well, how long at this point in time have she been seeing them?
Well, at least for quite a while. And wouldn't you want to keep your social worker happy? Especially if she's getting you into all of these programs, especially... if, I guess they filed a complaint because it was the next day that it was the birthday. But isn't it just non-prepared social worker? Like, how do you not know it's this kid's birthday?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to me, it's one of those things that would be on the initial form that she got. Yeah. But then you might have to figure that she does have probably more than one case, and maybe
she's supposed to have. That's why she was reprimanded. She didn't.
Oh, but still, I don't know. Birthdays, like not everybody remembers the birthdays. Like,
it's on your form.
Yeah, but for
all right, whatever. So, the party.
Yeah, the strange party.
The party. It's like a '60s orgy, and Mrs. Wadsworth is like the hot stuff.
She's the hot host.
Oh yeah, and she's actually pretty cool. And then Jermaine, she has this fucked up hairstyle. She looks like she tried to perm it, but then gave up halfway. And then Alba, I guess she's just there, but she has like one of her suitors there. That's kind of a pervo creepo that's hitting on Anne.
Yeah, she's wearing like a shirt with no bra. Her nipples are poking through, and she's got little tiny shorts on, Daisy Duke shorts.
Tell me more, because I didn't remember that. What else is she wearing?
Yeah, no, there's a scene where she's going upstairs and there's like a up skirt short shot.
She's actually wearing a dress. So whatever.
So that means it makes more sense then. It's not a long dress, it's a short dress.
Right.
Yes, and you can see up the dress when
So,
she goes up the stairs. Not that I was
that-
looking, but it was just happened to be there.
That's when I kind of thought, oh, this is why Mrs. Wadsworth has baby developmentally stunted. Because during the party, we find that she's getting all this praise and all this adoration for being such a fabulous mother and having to sacrifice her life for a child with so many needs.
Yeah,
and
I
she's eating that shit up. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking she got attention for it once and she just kept it going because she enjoys the attention. Because we know that everybody at that party is part of her crew. Like they were able to get a birthday party together. So that's somebody that is part of their lives. Like that's her circle of friends.
And there was a lot of people there for, I mean, I wasn't expecting there to be
It's
that
a
many
kid's
people
birthday
there.
party,
Right.
but there are no kids.
But it was also
not even baby
in the
because he's
evening
21.
time.
It was at night.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
It was
and
at
they were
night.
like drinking and dancing.
And drugs. Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. It was just one of those like.
And Anne is there, and her social worker's there.
Yeah.
And I like it because Miss Wadsworth dances like this. Right. But Anne is there, and she's adamant. She's not drinking. She wants to be sober when she talks to Mrs. Wadsworth.
Yeah, fucking
It's like,
prude.
yeah, that's going to happen. No, it's not even that she was a prude. It's she wanted to talk to Mrs. Wadsworth when she was sober.
Yeah,
because
Mrs. Wadsworth
at this point,
is like, come
this
on,
woman,
honey.
this woman complained to her boss about her. She has something she wants, like it's important for her, right? But during a dart game, so then she starts to play darts with Alba, and she's winning, and she says, when Alba's saying, "Oh, you're such a good player," she goes, "When you're a winner, the possibility of losing doesn't even exist."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one," and that's very telling.
And so then they decide to spike her
Inevitably,
drink.
she gets roofied.
And yes, she starts playing more darts, but she's
So when she
pretty-
starts to pass out, the sisters and the mom hog tie her in the garage to dispose of later.
Was it a garage or a basement?
It's a garage.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's so like fucking crazy because the party's happening outside. Because baby is neglected, he's just roaming around and he sees what happens. So he goes and he unlocks the door and goes in and escapes. But not only does she escape, she kidnaps baby and takes him with her.
Yep.
Back home.
Yep. They see her at the last second, like escaping with baby.
No, they
don't.
don't.
They? No.
What they do is after the party's over, the doors open and they're looking for her.
That's right. After
right, and then they try
over.
to try to get in the car to search, but Anne had slashed the tires.
Slashed the tires. Yeah. That's right. I remember now. They said goodbyes to all the house guests before they noticed that baby wasn't there and all that. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and now for the climax.
Give it to me.
All right. Back at Anne's house, she's bathing baby. She's getting him ready. She puts him in a suit. The house is this grand house. It's actually one of the houses over there in on Wilton or something, on Highland or something, in like by Larchmont.
Yeah.
It's a grand house, like super beautiful home, and there's people building a pool for her.
Right. Yeah.
Like the pool is like in the middle of being built, so she's got some money. This social
they
worker.
haven't poured the cement yet. They just dug the hole.
Right. So far, it's just a big ditch.
Yeah.
And she takes a picture of baby standing and sends it to the family, and she says, and in a note
in
with
the
the
suit
picture,
and everything.
in a suit, standing up, being propped up by a chair because he obviously doesn't stand, and it looks like he's humping the chair, and then the note says this to the Wadsworths. I'm in the process of making baby into a grown man. As I have always suspected, his responses are those of a sensitive and intelligent person. His progress so far proves that beyond a doubt. In a short time, the baby you once knew will no longer exist. Your baby will be lost to you forever, and some other stuff. And that's when the women are like, fuck this bitch.
I know, that's cold. She's just like, fuck you. I'm taking your fucking child.
And the horse you rode in on.
Yeah, and the horse you rode in on.
So the women are like, fuck this. Alba's like, just tell us what you want us to do. Just tell us.
She's gangsta.
She's gangsta. So the women drive around town looking for Anne's car, and they find Anne's car, and they park across the street, and the daughters, Alba and Jermaine, get sent to do some recon, and they get into the house. They split up to get into the house. Jermaine goes around the back, and she sees the teddy bear that belonged to Baby. So she's like, oh fuck.
Oh right, yeah.
So she gets the teddy bear. She opens the door. The door's unlocked. She opens the door, and she gets in the house. She drops the gun. She drops the teddy bear. And inside that purse that she's carrying, there's a gun. So she walks and goes further into the house.
This is Jermaine, right?
Jermaine.
Yeah.
She hears Baby crying and being scolded.
Oh, right.
And goes up the stairs. Mm-hmm. Alba is coming in from another side.
From the other side,
She actually goes through the back where the pool is because she has to walk around that ditch. Mm-hmm. She goes into the house. She sees the teddy bear and Jermaine's purse.
Yep.
She also hears Baby and heads upstairs. After the girls are taking too long, Mama, who's sitting in the car, makes her way into the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's doing one of those like the Tony Soprano scene where it's like, if I'm not back in 15 minutes, come in and guns a-blazing.
But she busts Marv move from Home Alone. She goes in through the basement.
Oh, yeah, right.
And she's like sleuthing around and calling the girls' names out, and she looks up because a drop of something hit her face.
Uh-huh.
And it's Jermaine.
It's her
She's
daughter,
dead on the banister.
Yeah. Now, did she get stabbed or choked or something? Because she's the one who had the gun in her hand, right?
Right, but she's been...
Yeah, I didn't really see how
it doesn't say. She's just dead.
She's just like hanging over the banister.
She's just hanging dead over the banister, yeah. As she's like holding her and saying, Jermaine, Alba comes in from another room and is like, has a knife in her back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, suddenly, Anne, like Norman Bates out of this room with a hatchet, like just out of nowhere, and she goes to try to attack Mrs. Wadsworth.
Right. But
and a chase ensues, and they go all around the house, and they go back up the stairs, and then that's when the mother-in-law goes to attack her too, and Mrs. Wadsworth does what?
Flies over the banister.
Jumps from the second floor down to the first floor.
Yeah.
And breaks her leg.
And breaks her legs, yeah.
And she's like, oh, my leg. Like, that's going to stop. Like, everybody time out.
Yeah.
Base.
Bam. Yeah, but did she get like pushed or she jumped?
She jumped.
Okay.
She jumped to try to get away from these two craziest, and understandably so.
And broke her legs on the way down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but Anne doesn't let the mother-in-law kill her.
No.
She says, this is better. Because earlier in the movie, Anne is like, what's worse than being... Cause she was comparing the abuse of Baby being stunted in his development to being buried alive. And she's like, what's worse than being buried alive?
Right.
And it turns out Mrs. Wadsworth is about to find out because these bitches take the two dead girls and an alive Mrs. Wadsworth and take them into a pool where they've dug a hole and bury them.
Yep. Because you heard earlier, she was like, oh, don't tell them to come and drop the cement yet. Wait till like Monday or whatever. Because she knew she was going to get them, like those bodies in there first.
She knew that that picture and that note was going to set them off.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so basically they get buried underneath the pool. The cement goes in and we haven't got to the very last part yet.
Wait. The cement goes in. Mm-hmm. And there you go. And you think, great, the evil is gone. The evil woman is dead. They're not abusing this child anymore. If Baby had been already able to be developmentally well and he's just faking it for his safety, he can then be a man.
Right.
Nope. Because Anne takes him out of a closet where he was being punished and takes him into the playroom where her husband is also a man baby. And she had kidnapped the baby to be his friend.
I know.
And then what are they doing? later on,
she's
they're
like
swimming in the goddamn
in the
swimming
pool.
pool.
Yeah, and then she does something where she's like, "Oh, let's both of my men" or something. What does she call him? Like,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So now, this is what I'm talking about. You don't know who the good guy is. You don't know who the bad guy is. You're just like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, so she was a demented social worker from the get-go
So
after her husband had that accident.
Knows about this case and requested it because she knew this whole time she was going to steal baby.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
saw that he was intelligent and such, but didn't give a fuck and said, I'm just going to keep him as a baby for my husband.
Right.
Also, if your theory is correct, that because there are times where he has glimpses of, oh shit, that's fucked up. Oh shit, that's going on. Where you feel like he understands more.
Right.
It makes it so much more sad because at this end part of the movie, there's this like, baby sits there and he's interacting with the husband and you can kind of see this like despair of, fuck, I'm trapped like this forever. Because you think if he had already understood that she's my savior, she's going to get me away from these people that are bad and people that are mean to me, that's great. I can live a normal life. No, I can't.
Well, so here's my thoughts on that. Yeah, she was sick and she had her own.
Yes, she was sick.
She had her own plot and you know, she probably wasn't fit to be a social worker at that point in time either. But nobody really knew because she kept it all behind closed doors. The only one who was aware of it was her mother-in-law,
who was also in on it.
Yeah,
because at the end of the movie, she's sitting there by the pool smoking a cigarette, laughing at all of her family.
Right,
now,
exactly.
Here's the thing: did Mrs. Wadsworth already hate whatever? Like, was it hate? Did she hate men and she was taking out revenge, or
I don't know.
Was she so traumatized by man after man after man leaving her, and finally the last one leaving her before her baby was born, to just set her off and was like, nope, no man is leaving me ever again? Or is it all of that trauma, and we know that baby had some psychological exams when he was little, so we know that there was something up with him, right? There was something up with him. Now, was it that severe? Probably not. But what if he had something very mild? You know, maybe he had something that was, you know, treatable, or something that was livable, like something that would still give him a normal existence, a typical existence. So what if that, and that initial attention of, oh my gosh, and that's what kind of just like, oh, I can get this attention every day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Munchausen's by proxy, right? Like there was that girl that her mom made her pretend that she was in a wheelchair and always sick so that she got all the attention.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's probably a very true. The thing is, like, this is the weird, insane people. Like, you can't figure them out. There's no logic to it. So I don't know. That's just what it is. I don't think that way because I'm not like that. I thought the movie was entertaining, and that's cool. But it was, it was, again, it's.
The movie was fucked up.
I think you liked it more than I liked it. I think it was cool for what it was. I didn't know we were going to do an episode on it, but, that's cool. It was a weird movie. Not very. Yeah. It didn't like spook me. I'm not horrified. I'm not disturbed.
But
by
you were
it.
Unsettled by it.
I was unsettled with some of the scenes. Well, I guess it's yes, sure. So do you give it 2 thumbs up? Because I don't. I mean, I would say if you want to watch a crazy movie that's not all about like gore and disturbing like imagery, then watch The Baby for a fun little time.
I think everybody should watch it at least once, but just to get it out of their system. But it's one of those movies that you just
the thing is, you got to be
into it.
You
don't have to watch it, but it would be good to watch it. Like,
it's hard to get past the whole baby noise thing, though.
Yeah, that's true. If it was just like a man voice doing baby sounds, that would have been fine. It does take you out of it a little bit. But what I'm saying is, I would I don't know. I like the movie in that it really left me. Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? I mean, yeah, I figured out the movie. We were watching it together. I figured it out in the first 10 minutes. But it was still nice to be like, oh, I'm feeling empathy towards this person. Oh shit, now I'm feeling empathy towards this person. It kind of leaves you going back and forth.
Yeah.
So
I guess so for me, you know, I think part of the reason why you liked it is because you have kids, and there's part of it that
no,
no.
no, that's
Well,
not
what
why
I'm
I
trying to
like it.
say is like the baby noise thing really threw me off because I couldn't sit down and take this movie seriously
Now
with
you know how
these.
I feel when bitches don't wash their hands in movies.
Yeah, but all right, whatever. I'm just saying, like, you as a mother can hear beyond that and be like, oh, okay, well, this is a movie about a family with a baby and all that. Me, I don't really care because I don't have kids and I not really
So you
like.
also don't have a shark, but you watched Jaws. You also were never been in a hostel where someone tried to
That's
kill you, but you
true,
watched
but
the
I'm saying
hostel.
like the
Like it,
baby noise I'm talking about. It was a disturbing sound that wouldn't allow me to concentrate on the movie because I'm like, it's like,
me being a mother has nothing to do with whether or not this
okay,
movie was something that I enjoyed watching the first time.
okay, all
Okay,
right,
me liking this movie was just because it was unsettling. It was unnerving. It left me like ugh. Now, the part of me being a mother probably helped in being like showing empathy towards both scenarios,
sure,
right? But that's it. Like,
yeah.
no, I don't see my children in these people. I don't. That's stupid.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm talking about the sound of a baby.
That
Like
has
it
nothing to do
makes
with that because that
it took
sound of
me
the
out of it
baby.
so much. Like I didn't want to even watch the movie because of that thing, that noise. It was annoying. I just watched it because we watched it together, but it was annoying. And if it was something like I was watching on my own, I would have clicked off of it.
I enjoyed the movie. You don't have to enjoy the movie.
All right, yeah,
You
right.
can be creeped out by that. I'm creeped out by other things about this movie. But what I'm saying is, I think people should give it a watch.
All right. I'm saying
I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying you're going to love it. I'm just saying it's worth the watch.
sure. I'm saying if you got nothing else better to do and you want to watch something weird, sure, go ahead. Otherwise, you can probably skip it.
Right. Okay. Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm pretty much done with this movie.
All right. Well, that's it for us today. Join us next week when we discuss
Dun dun dun.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
Living brains. Live brains.
Brains.
Live brains.
Like that?
I don't know.
All right. So, yep. Thanks for stopping by. Please take a moment to hit subscribe if you have not yet done so, and check out our website where you can check out all of our backlog episodes that are audio only. We also have our Patreon where you can, pitch in and see if maybe we can stop getting out of pocket on these things. Probably get our new studio back up and running.
Yep.
Also, we have special projects. We'll start posting those on our website as well, specifically Stefan's music. And check us out on social media. We're not great at social media. We're in that middle generation where we enjoy it, but we don't know how to do it that well. So the handles are in the show notes.
Yeah.
Hit us up whenever you want to share a movie we should be watching. We are at icecreamparlor.podcast@gmail.com. Our website is icecreampodcast.com. And we'll see you next time.
See you on the flip side, kids.
Okay, bye.